For the athletes of the 1980 United States Summer Olympic team during this era of American history in the Cold War, it was these men and women who unfortunately and unwillingly became the warriors in our country's defense of freedom. These men and women were the ones who were affected the most. In this documentary, we will take a look at the reasons the United States boycotted the 1980 Summer Olympics being held in Moscow, and the effect it had on the country and the athletes that would have participated. Imagine what it must feel like to be an Olympic athlete and to have trained your whole life for one big event, the Summer Olympics. Can you imagine the chance of winning a gold medal for your country? Here's some clips from the London Summer 2012 Olympics to get a feel of what it must feel like to be these athletes.
No one move, no one speak. Please don't say that it's just me. It's not just me. And even though I won't forget, just don't want this to end just yet. Not just yet. But if I had one chance to freeze time, to stand still and soak in everything, I'd choose right now. If I had one night where sunshine could break through and show you everything, I'd choose right now. If this is it, all we have, I know I've done all I can. If this is it.
Imagine if this was taken away from you. What would you feel like?
Very simple. It's something I've said many times, including my acceptance speech when I was nominated as president and my inaugural speech when I became president. But it cannot be said too often or too firmly nor too strongly. As long as I am president, the government of the United States will continue throughout the world to enhance human rights.
In 1979, America was in deep political and economic trouble. Unemployment, high interest rates, and double-digit inflation was taking place across America. The cost of fuel had also doubled. Political and military tensions were at an all-time high between the Soviet Union and the United States during the Cold War. After the communist Soviets went on a military offense when they invaded Afghanistan, the United States decided to let the Soviet Union know that they would not accept this. The 1980 Summer Olympics were set for the Soviet Union. The United States and 60 other nations decided not to participate as a form of protest over the invasion. America's decision to boycott the 1980 Summer Olympics demonstrates a tension between the responsibility of the government to protest about the Soviet Union's actions and the rights of the athletes to compete in an event that serves as a symbol of international cooperation and peace. Jimmy Carter became President of the United States in 1977. He showed success through the Panama Canal Treaty when he agreed on neutrality over the canal, as well as the Camp David Accords, where he acted as a mediator between Israel and Egypt. President Carter believed that foreign affairs should be dealt with as peacefully and diplomatically as possible, but an uprising in Iran blemished President Carter's previous track record of political problem solving. Extremists opposed the Shah in Iran. The Shah has been a responsible ruler who had worked on strengthening the relationships with the U.S. administration. This enraged many extremists. The extremists stormed the U.S. Embassy and took 52 American hostages. President Carter reacted to the hostage crisis just as he would do with any other foreign policy issues, with peaceful negotiations. But President Carter's way of attacking foreign policies shifted drastically after the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan. President Carter had always criticized governments around the world for not giving civil rights to people, but as president, this event had pushed him to his breaking point. This time, he had decided to go with an offensive approach. President Carter imposed economic sanctions on the Soviet Union. He also changed the legislation to allow men under the age of 19 in the United States to be drafted. More importantly, President Carter convinced Americans to boycott the Summer Olympics. In January 21, 1980, State of Union address, President Carter said that the United States would not send a team to the Moscow Olympics unless the Soviets withdraw from Afghanistan.
I have notified the Olympic Committee. Neither the American people nor I will support sending an Olympic team to Moscow.
One of them, just making an Olympic team, is at least partial fulfillment of a lifelong dream that they have of necessity had to scale down because of events far beyond their control.
There's so many wars.
Layout, Sukahara! Going for the dismount. Very nice! Clean routine. Tracy is happy with that one.
The fact that we're not going to the Olympics hasn't really deterred my training. I've made sure that I think through this Olympic Games and hope to prepare for another one.
Well, I'm very disappointed, but I feel that it's probably the only thing that our country can do as a unit.
For all of the times we've stopped, for all of the things I'm not.
The confetti, the applause, the balloons, it's all part of it. For these young people, this is Moscow. They are Olympians, and no one will ever take that away from them.
Politics and Olympics will probably never be mutually exclusive, but in 1980 they were tangled in such a way to strike at the very core of human rights and Olympic ideals. What President Carter had described as one of his administration's most painful decisions was summed up by Vice President Walter F. Mondale. "I am very sorry about it," says Mondale 28 years later. "I know the athletes were asked to pay a price that couldn't be repaid. They lost their one shot at the Olympics. They were good enough to be designated as United States Olympians, so they were at the top of their games. As somebody who loves the Olympics and loves the athletes, it was a very painful moment. But I still think it was the right thing to do, and America stood tall against a brutal invasion by a dictatorship that was trying to establish a principle that was very dangerous for the future of all of us, including the athletes."